The galaxy was quiet that day. Too quiet. Near the outer edge of the solar system, space was filled with light. Hundreds of giant ships floated in perfect formation. Their dark metal hulls blocked the stars behind them. 500 alien warships. Each one was powerful enough to destroy a planet. Together, they were unstoppable. Their mission was simple: delete humanity. For years, the alien empires had argued about what to do with humans. Some said humans were weak. Others said they were reckless and dangerous. But everyone agreed on one thing: humans were different. They did not follow the normal rules of the galaxy. They fought when they should surrender. They explored places other species feared. They built strange weapons. And they refused to obey stronger empires. That made them a problem. And problems had to be removed. So the decision was made. A massive fleet was sent to the solar system. 500 warships from different alien civilizations now waited together. Their weapons were ready. Their shields were active. Their commanders watched Earth through their sensors. Below them, the small blue planet turned slowly in the darkness of space. It looked peaceful, but the alien commanders knew something about humans. They never gave up easily. Inside the command bridge of the largest alien flagship, several commanders stood around a glowing holographic map of the solar system. The fleet leader, High Commander Varex, watched the image of Earth carefully. Varex was tall and covered in dark armored scales. His yellow eyes were calm but cold. He had destroyed many civilizations before. To him, this was just another mission. One of his officers spoke. "Commander, all fleets are in position. Weapons are ready." Another officer added, "Human defense fleets are forming near Earth, but their numbers are small." Varex looked at the numbers on the screen. Only a few dozen human ships. Old cruisers. Small carriers. A few defense platforms. Nothing compared to the armada surrounding them. Varex slowly nodded. "Humans are brave," he said quietly. "But bravery does not win wars." Another alien commander laughed. "Brave? They are foolish. They think they can stop 500 warships." A few others chuckled. For them, this battle was already over. Far below, on Earth, the situation was very different. Military bases across the planet were in full alert. Human fleets moved into defensive positions. Fighter squadrons launched from carriers. Space stations powered up their weapons. Every soldier knew the truth. The enemy was too strong. Inside the United Earth Defense Command, officers worked without rest. Screens covered the walls, showing the alien fleet surrounding the solar system. General Marcus Hale stood at the center of the command room. He had served in the military for over 30 years. He had seen wars, disasters, and impossible situations. But nothing like this. 500 warships. Humanity had never faced something so large. An officer approached him. "General, our fleets are ready." Hale looked at the screen showing Earth's defenses. It was not enough. Not even close. Still, he spoke calmly. "Tell every fleet commander the same thing." The officer waited. Hale took a deep breath. "We hold the line as long as we can." The officer nodded and quickly walked away. Around the room, the tension was heavy. Some officers tried to stay focused. Others stared silently at the screens. Everyone understood what was coming. Above Earth, the alien fleets prepared their attack formations. Energy cannons charged. Missile launchers opened. Shields glowed across hundreds of ships. High Commander Varex raised one clawed hand. The entire armada waited for his command. Just one signal, and the war would begin. Then suddenly, a sensor officer spoke loudly. "Commander, we have a new contact." Varex slowly turned his head. "A new contact?" The officer nodded and adjusted the holographic display. A small signal appeared near the edge of the system. One ship, very small compared to the massive fleets around it. The officer looked confused. "It is human." Several commanders stared at the screen. "Only one ship?" Another officer checked the data again. Identification unclear. "The ship is very old." "How old?" Varex asked. The officer hesitated. "Approximately 300 years." The room became quiet. 300 years? That was impossible. Ships did not survive that long in active service. Another commander laughed. A museum ship? Did the humans send us a relic? More laughter filled the bridge. Varex, however, did not laugh. Show the image, he ordered. The hologram zoomed in. The ship slowly came into view. It was small. Its hull was scratched and faded. Some parts looked almost rusted. Old human markings were barely visible across the surface. Its design was outdated, primitive, a simple frigate from an early era of human space travel. The alien commanders looked amused. This is a reinforcement? One said. Perhaps they're surrendering. Another commander joked. Maybe it got lost for 3 centuries. But the strange ship kept moving, slowly, directly toward the alien fleet. Back on Earth, the same signal appeared on human sensors. Inside the command center, officers looked confused. One technician spoke. General, we have a new contact entering the system. Hale walked closer to the screen. What kind of ship? The technician scanned the data. Then his eyes widened. I think it's human. The room became silent. Human? Hale repeated. Yes, sir. But the identification code is very old. How old? The technician swallowed. Over 300 years. Hale frowned. That's impossible. Another officer suddenly spoke. Wait, I recognize that registry number. Everyone looked at him. The officer quickly pulled up an old database. His hands moved fast across the keyboard. Then the screen showed a name. The officer whispered it slowly. UEF Frigate, Aurora's Promise. General Hale froze. He had heard that name before, long ago, in history classes at the academy. Aurora's Promise, he repeated quietly. That ship disappeared during the early exploration era, another officer said. It vanished during a deep space mission 3 centuries ago. No one ever found it. Most people believed it was destroyed. But now, it was here, slowly flying toward the largest alien armada ever seen. Back in space, the alien fleets watched the strange ship approach. High Commander Varex studied the data. Is it armed? He asked. The sensor officer checked. Minimal weapons. Extremely outdated technology. Shields. Very weak. One commander laughed again. This is insulting. Another said, should we destroy it now? Varex raised his hand. Wait. He wanted to understand something first. Why would humans send such an old ship? The frigate continued moving forward. Its engines were slow but steady. As it entered the center of the alien formation, something strange happened. A signal burst suddenly spread across the battlefield. Every alien communication channel activated at once. The old frigate was broadcasting. Varex narrowed his eyes. Play the transmission. The message filled the command bridge. At first, there was only static. Then a human voice appeared. Old, calm, recorded long ago. This is Admiral Elias Ward of the United Earth Fleet. Several alien officers looked surprised. Admiral? The voice continued. If this message is playing, it means humanity is in danger again. Back on Earth, the same message echoed across the Defense Command Center. General Hale listened carefully. The room was completely silent. Admiral Ward's voice was steady. This ship was never meant to return home. The alien commanders exchanged confused looks. The voice continued. 300 years ago, we were sent beyond known space to complete a mission humanity could never speak about. Varex frowned. What mission? No one answered. The recording continued. Our job was simple. Protect the future of humanity, no matter how long it takes. The old frigate suddenly slowed to a stop, right in the middle of 500 alien warships. Then new energy readings appeared across alien sensors. A massive power source inside the ancient ship began to activate. The sensor officer spoke nervously. Commander energy spike detected. Varex looked at the screen. From the frigate? Yes. That ship should not have that level of power. The hull of Aurora's Promise slowly opened. Large mechanical panels moved aside. Something hidden deep inside the ship began to rise. A tall metallic structure, covered with strange symbols, older than the frigate itself. The alien commanders stared in confusion. "What is that?" one asked. Varex felt a strange feeling in his chest. Instinct. Danger. The ancient structure suddenly powered on. A bright signal shot out into deep space, far beyond the battlefield, far beyond the solar system. Then Admiral Ward's final words played through every speaker. "Humanity, we kept our promise." The signal continued traveling into the darkness. Silence filled the alien command bridge. One officer finally spoke. "Commander, where is that signal going?" Varex stared at the endless stars. For the first time since arriving in the solar system, he felt uncertain, because something out there had just received humanity's message, and whatever answered that call was already on its way. The ancient signal moved through space like a quiet wave. It left the solar system in seconds, past the outer planets, past the edge of the alien blockade, and then it disappeared into deep space. But the signal did not stop. It continued traveling into the darkness between stars. Back near Earth, the battlefield was completely still. 500 alien warships surrounded one tiny human frigate, and no one moved. High Commander Varex stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the holographic display. The signal from the old ship was still active. His sensor officer spoke carefully. "Commander, the signal is extremely powerful." "How powerful?" Varex asked. "It is stronger than any normal communication system." Another officer added, "It is not aimed at Earth." Varex narrowed his yellow eyes. "Then where is it aimed?" The officer adjusted the sensors again. After a moment, he answered slowly. "Commander, it is aimed at deep space." Several commanders looked confused. "Deep space?" one asked. "There is nothing out there." Another officer shook his head. "No colonies, no fleets, no empires." For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Then one commander laughed. "So this is humanity's last trick? Sending a message to empty space." More laughter followed, but Varex did not laugh. Something about the situation felt wrong. The ancient frigate remained perfectly still. No weapons, no shields, just that strange signal beacon glowing from its open hull. Varex turned toward the communication officer. "Send a warning to the human ship." The officer nodded. A transmission beam locked onto the frigate. The alien message echoed across space. "Unknown human vessel. You are surrounded by the combined fleets of the Galactic Council. Power down your systems immediately or you will be destroyed." There was no response. The frigate remained silent. On Earth, General Marcus Hale watched the same scene on the large command screen. The room was full of tension. Officers whispered to each other. Some looked hopeful. Others looked confused. An officer stepped closer to the general. "Sir, do we know what that signal is?" Hale slowly shook his head. "No." Another officer spoke. "But Admiral Ward said this ship was sent on a secret mission." "Yes," Hale replied quietly. Everyone looked at the screen again. The small frigate looked fragile compared to the massive alien armada, but it had come here for a reason. Somewhere inside that ancient ship was a plan made 300 years ago, and that plan was now unfolding. Back on the alien flagship, the situation was becoming tense. The sensor officer suddenly looked alarmed. "Commander, I am detecting unusual energy patterns." Varex turned. "From the frigate?" "No, from the signal." "What do you mean?" The officer pointed to the holographic map. "The signal is expanding." Everyone looked closer. The glowing line of energy moving into space had grown wider, stronger, almost like it was building power as it traveled. Another officer frowned. "That is not possible. Signals lose power over distance." But this one was doing the opposite. It was becoming stronger. Varex spoke quietly. "Track it." "Yes, Commander." Sensors followed the signal far beyond the solar system. Minutes passed. Then the officer suddenly froze. "Commander?" Varex looked at him. "What is it?" The officer's voice was nervous. "The signal has reached something." The room became silent. "Something?" Varex repeated. "Yes." The officer zoomed the holographic map outward. A distant point appeared on the display, very far away, farther than most alien ships could travel without special gates. Another officer looked confused. There are no known systems there. Varex stared at the glowing point. Scan it. The sensor officer activated a deep scan. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the computer returned a result. The officer's eyes widened. Commander, we are detecting massive structures. How massive? Varex asked. The officer hesitated. Larger than cities. Shock spread across the bridge. Cities? Someone whispered. Yes. Varex stepped closer to the display. What kind of structures? The officer looked at the data again. I am not sure. Another scan appeared on the screen. Slowly, the image became clearer, and what they saw made the alien commanders uneasy. It was not a planet, not a station, not a fleet. It looked like something ancient. Gigantic rings of metal floating around a dark star. Each ring was thousands of kilometers wide, and in the center of those rings, something moved. The sensor officer's voice trembled. Commander, we are detecting energy signatures. How many? The officer checked again. Then he whispered the answer. Hundreds. The bridge became completely silent. Back on Earth, the human sensors suddenly detected something new. A technician spoke loudly. General, new energy signatures detected in deep space. Everyone turned toward the screen. General Hale frowned. Where? Beyond the alien fleets. Very far away. The technician enlarged the image. Several bright points appeared. Then more. And more. Hale leaned closer. What are those? Another officer ran the calculations. Objects entering hyperspace. How many? The officer looked shocked. Too many to count. Back on the alien flagship, panic began spreading. The sensor officer shouted, Commander, multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Varex turned sharply. Where? The officer pointed to the map. From a location where the signal was sent. The glowing points on the screen were multiplying quickly. Each one represented something entering faster than light travel. Something very large. One commander stepped back nervously. Those cannot be ships. Another officer whispered, They are too big. Varex felt his instincts screaming now. Danger. Real danger. He looked at the ancient frigate again. The beacon was still glowing, still transmitting the signal. Suddenly the communication system activated again. Admiral Ward's recorded voice returned. This signal is a promise. Every alien commander listened carefully. We once helped them when no one else could. The voice paused, and they promised to remember. Varex clenched his claws. Who? He demanded angrily. But the recording continued calmly. If humanity ever faced extinction, they would come. At that exact moment, space itself began to bend. Bright lines of energy appeared across the darkness. Hyperspace gates were opening. Hundreds of them. The alien sensor officer shouted in fear. Commander, massive objects exiting hyperspace. The first shape appeared. It was enormous, bigger than any warship. It looked like a moving fortress made of black metal and glowing blue energy. Then another appeared, and another. Within seconds, hundreds of giant structures filled the empty space beyond the alien fleet. The alien commanders stared in shock. None of them had ever seen ships like these. They were ancient, powerful, almost alive. Back on Earth, the same sight appeared on human sensors. Gasps filled the command center. One officer whispered, My God! General Hale stared at the screen in disbelief. Hundreds of unknown ships had just arrived. Ships larger than cities. Ships older than any human design. The ancient frigate Aurora's promise slowly shut down its beacon. Its mission was complete. Then Admiral Ward's final message played. They never forgot what humanity did for them. On the alien flagship, Commander Varex felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear, because the giant fleet that had just arrived was not targeting Earth. Every weapon, every sensor, every massive structure had turned toward the alien armada, and then a deep voice echoed across every communication channel in the solar system. The voice was ancient, calm, powerful. We have received humanity's signal. The alien commanders froze. The voice continued. Who threatens the species that once saved us? 500 warships suddenly felt very small, and for the first time since arriving in the solar system, the hunters realized something terrible. They were no longer the ones in control, because the real protectors of humanity had finally returned. For a few seconds, the entire solar system was silent. 500 alien warships floated in perfect formation. Their massive weapons were ready. Their shields glowed across the darkness of space. But now something had changed. Beyond the alien armada, hundreds of enormous ships had appeared from hyperspace. They were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Each one was the size of a city. Their hulls were smooth and dark, almost like black glass. Lines of blue energy move across their surfaces like living veins. Some ships were shaped like giant rings. Others looked like floating fortresses. They were ancient, very ancient, and they were all pointing their sensors toward the alien fleet. Inside the flagship of the alien armada, High Commander Varric stood completely still. He had fought many wars. He had destroyed many planets. But he had never seen ships like these. His sensor officer spoke with a nervous voice. "Commander, we are detecting extremely powerful energy readings." "How powerful?" Varric asked. The officer swallowed. "Stronger than anything in our fleet." Another officer added, "Much stronger." A commander from another empire spoke angrily. This must be some kind of human trick. But even as he said it, he knew it was not true. Human technology had never produced ships like these. These ships were older, far older. Back on Earth, the human command center was full of shocked faces. General Marcus Hale stared at the screen as hundreds of unknown ships filled the sensor display. An officer whispered, "Sir, what are those?" Hale slowly shook his head. "I don't know." Another officer quickly ran a scan. "Sir, the ships are not attacking Earth." Everyone looked at him. "Then who are they targeting?" Someone asked. The officer pointed to the screen. "The alien fleet." At that moment, the deep voice returned across every communication channel. It sounded ancient and calm. "We ask again, who threatens humanity?" The message echoed through every alien warship. Every commander heard it. Varric stepped toward the communication console. "Open a channel," he ordered. The officer quickly obeyed. Varric spoke carefully. "This is High Commander Varric of the Galactic Council Fleet. Identify yourselves." For a moment, there was no answer. Then the deep voice replied, "We are the Aurelian Guardians." The alien commanders exchanged confused looks. Some searched their historical databases. Nothing appeared. Varric frowned. "That name does not exist in any galactic record." The voice answered calmly. "That is because your civilizations were not yet born when we last appeared." The alien bridge fell silent. Even Varric looked surprised. Meanwhile, on Earth, human historians inside the command center were searching ancient archives. One young officer suddenly spoke. "General, I found something." Hale turned toward him. "What is it?" The officer opened an old historical file. "This is from the early exploration era. It's over 300 years old." The screen showed a faded report. Hale read the title slowly. "Deep Space Encounter, Unknown Civilization." The officer continued. "It says the exploration fleet found a damaged alien structure near a dying star." "What kind of structure?" Hale asked. "A massive station, larger than any human ship at the time." Another officer leaned closer. "What happened to it?" The young historian looked at the next page. His eyes widened. "The report says the station was under attack." "By who?" He swallowed. "Unknown biological creatures." Hale frowned. "Creatures?" "Yes, sir." The file displayed a strange image. Dark shapes with long bodies and many sharp limbs. They looked like living shadows. The report explained more. These creatures destroyed several human ships before they were stopped. How were they stopped? Hale asked. The officer read the next line. The human fleet detonated a star. The entire room became silent. "Detonated a star?" someone whispered. "Yes." The report explained that the early human fleet had forced the creatures into the dying star and triggered a massive explosion. The explosion destroyed the creatures. But it also destroyed most of the human fleet. Only one ship survived. The Aurora's promise. General Hale slowly looked back at the screen. The ancient frigate that had just appeared. So Admiral Ward's mission, Hale whispered. Another officer finished the sentence. Was to call them back if humanity ever needed help. Back in space, the alien fleet had begun to panic. The enormous ships of the Aurelian Guardians had moved closer. They did not fire. They did not attack. But their presence alone was terrifying. One alien commander shouted, "We should retreat." Another agreed, "Yes, this situation is no longer under our control." Varex clenched his claws. "We cannot retreat yet." "Why not?" someone asked. Varex looked at the massive Guardian ships. "Because they have not attacked us." The deep voice spoke again. "You came here with weapons aimed at Earth." Varex answered carefully. "Yes." "Why?" Varex hesitated for a moment. Then he told the truth. Humanity is unpredictable. They refuse to follow galactic laws. Many empires believe they will become a future threat. The ancient voice responded slowly. "So you chose extinction." Varex said nothing. The voice continued. "We remember a different humanity." Across space, the giant Guardian ships slowly changed formation. Their enormous structures moved like silent giants. Back on Earth, the human command center watched the movement nervously. An officer asked quietly, "Are they preparing to attack?" General Hale studied the screen. "I don't think so." "Then what are they doing?" Hale pointed to the alien fleet. "They are surrounding them." And that was exactly what was happening. The Aurelian Guardian ships were moving into a wide circle around the 500 alien warships. One by one, escape routes disappeared. Inside the alien flagship, the sensor officer shouted, "Commander, they are blocking our hyperspace exits." Another officer checked the data. "All jump points are sealed." Varex stared at the screen in disbelief. 500 warships, one of the largest fleets ever assembled, and they were completely trapped. The ancient voice spoke again. 3 centuries ago, humanity saved our civilization. The message echoed across every ship. They fought creatures that even we cannot defeat. Back on Earth, the officers listened carefully. The voice continued. They lost almost their entire fleet. General Hale whispered quietly, "They remember?" The ancient voice continued. "They asked for nothing in return." Varex slowly spoke. "What do you want now?" The answer came immediately. "We honor our debts." The giant Guardian ships suddenly activated a powerful energy field. Bright blue waves spread across space. Inside the alien fleet, systems began to fail. One officer shouted, "Commander, our weapons are shutting down." Another added, "Shield systems offline." More alarms filled the bridge. "Our engines are losing power." Varex looked around in shock. Every ship in the alien armada was shutting down, without a single shot being fired. The ancient voice spoke one final time. "Humanity is under our protection." Back on Earth, the command center watched in silence. 500 alien warships now floated helplessly in space. No weapons, no shields, no escape. General Hale slowly sat down in his chair. For the first time since the alien fleets arrived, Earth was safe, because the galaxy had forgotten something important. But the Aurelian Guardians had not. Humanity had once saved them from extinction, and now they had returned the favor. The solar system was no longer the same battlefield. Just hours earlier, 500 alien warships had surrounded Earth like a dark wall. Their weapons were ready. Their commanders were certain that humanity's final day had arrived. But now the situation had completely changed. The alien fleet was silent. Their engines were dead. Their weapons were offline. Their shields were gone. 500 massive warships now floated helplessly in space, and surrounding them were the giant ships of the Aurelian Guardians. The Guardians did not fire. They did not shout threats. They simply waited. Their enormous structures glowed softly with blue energy as they held the alien fleet in place. Inside the alien flagship, chaos filled the command bridge. Officers rushed between consoles, trying to restart their systems. "Commander, weapon control is still offline. Engine cores are locked. We cannot access the navigation systems." High Commander Varex stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the dark screens. His fleet, one of the most powerful armadas ever created, had been defeated without a single battle. He spoke slowly. "Can we restore anything?" The chief engineer shook his head. "No, Commander. Their technology has completely disabled our systems." Another officer added nervously, "We are not even able to send long-range messages." Varex slowly clenched his claws. They were prisoners, and the enemy had not even fired a weapon. Back on Earth, the human command center watched the situation carefully. General Marcus Hale stood quietly in front of the large display screen. 500 alien ships were now shown as inactive icons. Around them, the giant Guardian vessels held position like silent giants. One officer spoke softly. "Sir, the alien fleet is completely disabled." Another added, "No weapons active anywhere." For a moment, nobody spoke. Then someone whispered, "We survived." The room slowly filled with quiet relief. But General Hale remained serious. "This isn't over yet," he said. Everyone looked at him. "The Guardians saved us," Hale continued, "but we still don't know what happens next." At that moment, the communication system suddenly activated. A deep voice echoed through the room. "We wish to speak with the leaders of Earth." Every officer froze. General Hale stepped closer to the microphone. "This is General Marcus Hale of the United Earth Defense Command." The ancient voice answered. "We are aware." The screens in the command center flickered. Then the image of one Guardian ship appeared. It was enormous. Even on the screen, it looked impossible. Large rings slowly rotated around a glowing central core. Lines of blue light moved across its surface like rivers of energy. General Hale spoke carefully. "You call yourselves the Aurelian Guardians." "Yes. You said humanity once helped you." "That is correct." Hale paused for a moment. "Then I think humanity deserves to know the full story." For several seconds, the Guardians did not answer. Then the deep voice returned. "You are correct." The giant ship's image zoomed outward, showing an ancient star system far away. The voice continued. 300 years ago, our civilization faced extinction. Images appeared on the screen. Strange creatures moved across the dark surface of a planet. They were massive and terrifying. Long bodies, sharp limbs, endless hunger. They were called the Void Swarm, the Guardian voice explained. They consumed everything. The images showed destroyed planets and burning stars. Entire civilizations disappearing. No fleet could stop them. The scene changed again. A small human fleet appeared on the screen. Old ships, primitive compared to modern designs. But they were brave. They arrived in our system by accident, the Guardian voice said. The screen showed human ships attacking the swarm creatures. One by one, the human vessels were destroyed. But they kept fighting. They knew they could not win, the voice continued. But they fought anyway. General Hale watched silently. The final image appeared. One human ship flying toward a dying star. The Aurora's Promise. Admiral Elias Ward made the final decision. The Guardian voice said. He trapped the Void Swarm inside the dying star. The screen showed the star exploding. A massive wave of light destroyed the creatures and most of the human fleet. They saved our civilization, the voice finished. Back in the command center, nobody spoke. General Hale finally asked quietly, "And after that?" The Guardian voice answered. Admiral Ward refused any reward. The image showed the surviving frigate, Aurora's Promise. He only asked for one promise. The room remained silent. He asked that if humanity ever faced extinction, we would come. General Hale slowly nodded. "And you kept that promise?" "Yes." Meanwhile, inside the alien flagship, the situation had become even worse. The alien commanders had also heard the Guardian explanation. Many of them now looked ashamed. One commander spoke nervously. "We did not know about this history." Another added, "No records of exist." Varex finally spoke. "That is because it happened before most of our civilizations were born." He looked at the large Guardian ships outside. "We tried to destroy the species that once saved the galaxy." Silence filled the bridge. Then the ancient voice spoke again across every alien ship. You came here to erase humanity. Varex answered carefully. Yes. Why? Varex took a deep breath. Because we feared them. The voice asked one final question. And now? Varex looked at the helpless fleet around him, then at the giant guardian ships surrounding them. Now we understand our mistake. Several seconds passed. Then the guardians finally responded. You will leave the system. Every alien commander looked up quickly. You will return to your empires, the voice continued, and you will tell them the truth. The message spread across the alien fleet. Humanity is not your enemy. The guardian ships slowly moved closer. Blue energy surrounded the alien armada again. We will restore your systems, the voice said. But if any fleet returns to threaten Earth, the energy field grew brighter. We will return as well. Back on Earth, the human command center listened carefully. An officer whispered, They're letting them go. General Hale nodded slowly. They're giving them a warning. Moments later, alien systems began restarting. Engines powered up. Weapons remained locked. But the ships could move again. Inside the alien flagship, the sensor officer spoke. Commander, our engines are active again. Varex looked at the navigation screen. A hyperspace route away from the solar system had opened. He turned toward the stars outside the window. 500 warships slowly changed direction. Not toward Earth. Away from it. Varex gave the final order. All fleets retreat. One by one, the alien ships jumped into hyperspace. Within minutes, the massive armada was gone. The solar system was quiet again. Only the giant guardian ships remained. On Earth, billions of people watched the sky. Human satellites recorded everything. News stations broadcast the images worldwide. Humanity had survived, not through strength, not through weapons, but through something far more powerful. A promise made 300 years ago. Inside the command center, General Hale spoke one last time to Guardians. Humanity will never forget what you did today. The ancient voice replied calmly. Nor will we forget what humanity did for us. The enormous Guardian ships slowly turned toward deep space. Their mission was finished. One by one, they entered hyperspace and disappeared. The solar system became peaceful once again. But the galaxy had learned something important that day. Humanity was not the strongest species. Humanity was not the oldest civilization. But humanity had something unique. They helped others even when it cost them everything. And sometimes the universe remembered. From that day forward, no empire ever tried to threaten Earth again, because every civilization now knew the same truth. If humanity ever called for help again, the stars themselves might answer.